Check, check, check.
If we're ready on the right, ready on the left. We're a couple of minutes early, but in the entrance of this evening and what we all know this day means to our country, to men and women in blue, and to the men and women in our fire departments all across this great country, and particularly here in our own hometown. How proud we are of those that serve us and provide the protection that we require on a daily basis, and we're grateful for that. We're here this evening not only to conduct the business of the Durant City Council, but we're here this evening to honor the memory of the 9/11 event of 2001 and those lives that were lost and those families that were affected by that. And really every citizen in this country was touched by that. And we want to take a little time here this evening to honor this day, honor the memory of those lost on 9/11 and those that were serving during that time and continue to serve. This time, I want to ask our own Fire Chief, Roger Joines, if he would step forward.
I have a couple words I want to say tonight. September 11, 2001, 2,753 people lost their lives. 343 New York firefighters, 23 NYPD, 37 Port Authority, 184 Pentagon at the Pentagon location, and 40 passengers of Flight 93 in Pennsylvania, and over 2,100 civilian citizens. It's a day we will never forget. Reflecting back 17 years ago today, I think we all have different thoughts and different feelings of what happened. And it just reminds us that there is a price for freedom. And many before us have paid that price so that we may enjoy it. And I think today is just another day to really remember that, stop and think about it. Soldiers, they leave their families for an extended period of time, some to never return home. So today, let us not forget the freedoms we enjoy. Let us not forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. Let us not forget those who protect us every day. And let us not forget the fallen on September 11th, 2001. Please stand with me for the invocation. Remain standing afterwards for the presentation of the colors. Father, we come to you tonight, and we just want to give you thanks. We thank you for the country we live in and the freedoms that we enjoy every day. We thank you for the ones that have gone before us, paid the price, have fought for that freedom, and help us to never take that for granted. Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for sending your Son to pay the ultimate sacrifice for us. And Lord, I pray that you will be with us tonight in this meeting. I pray that you will bring the city together as one. Help us to build this city, Lord. Help us to be a community that people who travel through Durant want to become part of. And I pray that you will help each one as one of the councilmen, mayor, city manager, as they make decisions that affect the workers of the city, affect the citizens of the city. I pray that you'll guide them, direct them in all they do, all the decisions they make. And once again, thank you for all that you do for us. And just be with those families that soldiers that have gone before us, families that have lost loved ones, and the ones that lost their lives on 9/11. We just thank you again for your precious Son. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please stay standing for the presentation of the colors.
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While they're getting into place, you know, sit down. While we're getting into place, our first song is called Until We Meet Again. There's just two, but I think you'll find out that one is quite lovely. This one is a dedication of everyone who lost their lives on September 11, 2001. Until we meet again, may God hold you in calm.
That's for last. We bring up the rear. As we come to order, what can one say other than thank you to our fire chief and our firemen, our police chief, our police department, to the men and women that serve this city, to Mr. Meredith at the public school system, the junior high chorus, and the high school chorus. I think we're all touched by the memory and these young people this evening and the future of our country. I can't thank folks enough that had anything to do with this and putting it together, but I want to particularly take a minute, thank Cindy Price, the city clerk, that had the idea, and with the help of the city manager, put this together this evening. And wow, I'm going to struggle for a bit, but thank you all. We'll let the record show it's 6:15. Now I'll call to order the regular Durant City Council meeting of September the 11th, 2018. And ask the clerk to call roll.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Here.
Councilmember Groby. Here. Councilmember Dills.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Here.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Here. For the record, we have all members present. We have a full quorum. We'll begin with item number 2 on our agenda, and that's the consent item docket. We have items 2A through 2I. Are there any to be removed for consideration under agenda item number 3? The consent docket is items that allow the focus to be on other items of our agenda. These are routine, procedural, self-explanatory, and are voted on in a single motion, one vote. However, any council member requesting further information may do so, and we'll remove it for consideration under a separate vote. Are there any to be removed? If not, what's council's pleasure?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3 will require no action as we had no items removed from the consent docket. We'll begin with item number 4, agenda item number 4. Under administration, 4A is to consider authorization to accept a donation in the amount of $4,500, that's $4,500, from Trace and Dina Sherrill for the purchase of a 2-bay handicap swing to be located at the Durant Dixon Park. Mr. Marty Cook, our park superintendent. Oh, Marty Pope, I do it all the time. Sorry, Marty.
That's all right. Dina Sherrill had got in contact with me, and we had discussed a swing for one of the parks. And this is phase 1 of 3 phases. This year we will do Dixon Durant Park, also known as Rocket Park, and then we'll go to the splash pad, Keithley Park, next year, and then on to Carl Albert last. And so I would like to thank them for all they do for the community, and tell them thank you very much. And I stand here in front of you this evening to ask you to accept the donation of $4,500, and we will get the first swing put in by the Parks Department.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. I think the only discussion is that folks know that Trace and Dina Sherrill know the history there and their commitment to the young people in our parks, sponsors of the Colton's Run on an annual basis. So there's no discussion, further discussion. The clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4B is consideration to accept donated funds in the amount of $69,518 from the Durant Trails and Open Space, DTOS, a local community partner. These are to be specifically utilized towards the cash match requirement for construction related to the 2016 Transportation Alternative Project, TAP, Rails to Trails Phase 1 Grant Award, TAPS-2983-004, TP. State Job Number 3298304 from the Oklahoma Department of Transportation in the amount of $396,630, and that's C-2017-25. Ms. Becca.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and council members. For the public, the city received a grant award from the Department of Transportation to rehab the abandoned railway that's on the east side of First Street, and it includes a bridge. And that project is under design. And along with that grant, there was a match requirement of $99,158. And the Durant Trails and Open Space stepped up to the plate and offered to collect or to facilitate the funds for this, and they've been working diligently in the community for about a year, and they are here tonight to donate the rest of the funding for this, and it's a great time for the city, for this organization to do this, so this project can move forward.
Should we have our motion and second and vote before they come up? We're going to do it. Okay, any questions for Becca? Not consider a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second, 2 seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Ms. Becca, would you introduce?
Who's here? Derek? Stewart? Tim?
Well, I think I got elected to speak, so they're going to come up here and join us. But friends and neighbors and friends I haven't made yet, we're Durant Trails and Open Spaces, and if I could just take 30 seconds to tell you what we're about. And we want to connect the bright spots of Durant with some trails and walking paths just to highlight the good things that we've got around Durant. So if you can imagine our parks, our recreation facilities, the walking tracks that are already in place, our schools, the university, and maybe even Choctaw Nation at some point. We've been designing a master plan so that we have a vision to throw out there 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, so that our kids and grandkids will enjoy this place as much as we do and want to stay around here and find gainful employment and have our grandkids here in Durant. So that's what we're about. We're just citizens trying to enrich Durant. We're a citizen-led movement. So tonight you'll see this is a group. If you've been to a Durant Trails and Open Space meeting or a Trails meeting or Imagine Durant and you've worked with us, if you would just stand, if there are any others in here in the room tonight.
Stand up, Tim.
Thank you
Stand up.
very, very much for what you're doing. Every time we see the matrix on people that come through Durant, they want to know where's our trails, where's recreational facilities. That's what we're doing this for. All right, where's the big check? Let's do the photo.
Stuart, please introduce
Well,
these young men here.
that's a good deal. If I start introducing all of them, how about let's let them introduce themselves. I'm Stuart Rustin with Rustin Concrete, lifelong Bryan County resident.
I'm Derek Hines, and I am with Gaddis and Gaddis Wealth Management and Durant Trails Open Space.
I'm Paul Bunce, and I work on the grant application, and former city manager, working with W4.
Mike DeLauro, Vision Bank. James Bishop, CPA.
Tim Boatman, I'm with the Durant Trails and Open Space.
Southeastern, you got to claim this. A little bit. All right.
All right, do we want to get everyone?
Yeah, so we would like
Come
everyone
on
that's
up.
The donors and everybody.
And
One of the
hurry.
things that's about this
These
is
guys are
crazy.
getting tired.
This is the county. We can't help the county helped with us.
Absolutely.
And there was probably about 20 or 30 different citizens that donated to make this happen, and it's been really exciting.
Here, put the pretty people up front.
No.
Come on up, everybody. You've got the microphone. Scoot in like you like each other. Like the red carpet. Work clothes.
And this picture, is
seems incomplete also without Kara.
Absolutely.
Kara Durant, who really started and spearheaded this. She's home with her brand new baby. So Kara
Who's
Burke-
under the weather tonight?
Yes, maybe a little sick. So we can't do this without Kara and Imagine Durant and what they did with this. It's fantastic.
All right. Thank you, council. Thank you very much.
Hey, Tim. Hey, Tim. Okay, moving along on our agenda, we'll go to item number 4C. That is to consider award of bid for propane sales and service for the city of Durant and approve contract with McCraw Oil Company, Inc. At a rate of $1.39 per gallon for year one, $1.35 per gallon for year two, and $1.32 per gallon for year three. Mr. Marty Pope.
This is our propane sales that we go out for, but usually every 3 years. We had 2 bids come back. McGraw come back as the lowest bidder. Blackburn Propane come back as the second. They were both $1.39 for the first year, but Blackburn was $1.39 for the second and third. So my recommendation is go with McCraw Oil and propane for the lowest bid.
Any questions for Marty? Not entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4D, consider recommendation of the Oklahoma Municipal Assurances Group, OMAG, to deny tort claim. And Cindy, are you going to brief us on that?
I can speak to that. This tort claim involved a citizen that was parked at one of our city parks near a tree, and a branch fell from that tree onto her car. There was no tree work being done at the time, and there was no forewarning that it was going to happen. Our insurer, OMAG, has recommended denial of the claim, and I think you'll see in the attachment is a letter from them with their reasoning for their recommendation, and it is my recommendation that the claim be denied.
Any questions for the city clerk? Heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Move to follow the recommendation of OMAG.
Motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4E, consider approval of a request from the Bryan County Emergency Medical Service for the city to install no parking signs along the east side of South 22nd from 306 South 22nd to West Mississippi Street. Mr. Marty Cook.
The other one. So I know that's confusing sometimes without, I've prepared a map for you to look at. This is the road that also has Allied Stone, Indian Nation Wholesale, Best Fender, and the Durant Bus Barn. What we're looking at is the area south of the current Bryan County EMS. If you remember, they purchased that property from us a few months ago, and they're going to be developing that property over the next few years. If you'll look at map 2, Byron, there's a close-up. I haven't done the measurements to decide. It should have just been followed down on map 1. Scroll, there you go. I haven't done the measurements to decide how many signs we need exactly. That's just to show you. But just on the east side of the road and just between Bryan County EMS and Mississippi. This gives them an exit out of their facility when trucks are parked or buses are crossing to the north of them. Hasn't been a huge problem yet, but as congestion builds, they've noticed that sometimes during peak hours, they have trouble getting out for an emergency call. We take this seriously. We don't just put a sign up for anybody we see or hear from. I have not had any negative feedback from this request, although obviously only the agenda is what was publicized. But I think it's a reasonable request.
Questions for Marty? You've heard the recommendation. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Takes us to item 4F. That is to consider approval of the employee health benefit renewals with the Blue Cross Blue Shield for the health and dental insurance and VSP for vision insurance, or take other appropriate action. Greg?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Our Blue Cross Blue Shield is our carrier provider for health and dental. VSP is for vision. We went out and requested renewals from them. If you recall, last year in November, we switched from a self-funded plan to a fully insured plan under Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They have had almost about 10 months of experience related to our employee group. And since we were sort of new from a self-funded to a fully insured, they just sort of gave it, their best guesstimate on what our experience would be. We actually had a very good experience year, and this is sort of unheard from in my 20 years of doing insurance. We actually got a decrease in our premium of over 13%. I budgeted and anticipated a 7 to 10% increase. We're actually getting a 13% decrease. One of our added benefits, we're tweaking on the dental is implants. In our previous plan, we didn't provide for any coverage for our dental implants. We did bridges and crowns and those types of things, but not implants. So for a very minor increase in premium, I think it's less than $3,000, we're providing that additional benefit for our employee group. So I think that's a great enhancement, given that we are seeing a savings this year to our plan. Wanted to add a little bit of additional benefit for our plan coverage. Dustin, Brain, are they here? Oh, there he is. Can sort of review and had a presentation related to Dustin Brain is our broker with Insurica.
Thank you, Greg. My name's Dustin Brand. I'm with Insurica. For those of you that were here last year, when I first met you, you were coming off of a year of spending $5.4 million on your health benefits. And so what we had proposed was a move to Blue Cross and Blue Shield, as Greg had mentioned in his introduction. So as you can see, we took that $5.4 million year, we took it down to a $2.8 million year. And one thing that we've seen improved this year in particular is just the ongoing large claims risk. It's significantly improved. So that has created a downward trajectory in your risk exposure. So in negotiating the renewal with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we're able to get that down to 13% decrease, which, as Greg mentioned, again, is very unheard of. I think this is the biggest rate decrease I think I've ever delivered to a client. So significant savings shown in red there. As you can see, it's over $300,000. One program that I recommended that you allow us to implement last year was the Insure Oklahoma program, which gave qualified folks an additional premium subsidy that helps pay for the cost of insurance, which we all know is very expensive. I think we had projected about $130,000 in projected additional subsidies. We could help bring the cost down for the city and for the city's colleagues. We've successfully exceeded that at $244,000, which is a number I've annualized for you. We're working to continue to increase that enrollment in that program and to grow those subsidies as well. So that gives you a net plan cost on your medical of $2.2 million. There was one thing, in addition to looking at the numbers and evaluating the numbers year over year, we also look at just gaps in coverage. And there was one gap in coverage we noted. Overall, I think the plan satisfaction was very, very high with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. One gap in coverage was male sterilization, which we've negotiated with Blue Cross to add that benefit in at 100% coverage, no deductibles, no cost sharing for the member, and it does not impact your premiums for the city.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said that coverage was.
It's male sterilization. Yeah.
Sorry I asked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a gap, so it's our recommendation to the city to definitely.
Councilmember Deal said we heard him that time,
So, then the next item is the dental plan. As Greg had mentioned as well, adding, the gap in coverage with this program was the implants. Implants are very popular. They're also very expensive. The cost to increase the benefit or enhance the benefit is actually 2%. As you can see, it's a $2,987 increase. There's no increase to your renewal. If you accept the plan the way it is, we can move forward with no implants covered. But if you accept to enhance that coverage, we can add that for an additional $2,987. My recommendation to the city council and the city, of course, is to enhance that, especially since you've got so much additional savings to use for that. The vision plan, there's really no gaps in vision plan. It's with VSP. There is no rate increase. You're in the middle of a rate guarantee, so there's no additional cost to the city or to the colleagues. And the life insurance, again, it's in a rate guarantee. It's holding steady, no increase to your colleagues or to the city. And then the last slide here is just a recap of your program cost. Again, the big driver there is the rate decrease for your medical, and then those Insure Oklahoma subsidies, which we're going to continue to push and to help your colleagues qualify for. All right. Any questions for me?
Any questions from council members? Greg and City Manager, your recommendation is to accept this proposal?
Yes.
Council have any questions?
So a motion to approve, would this include the dental with implants?
Yes, please.
Move to approve.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Dustin, was it? Thank you. Thank you for working with us for those savings. Item 4G, council may have already been notified, but we'll take no action on item 4G. I think, Paul, we're still waiting on some confirmed paperwork or and the possibility should and you help me out here, Paul, if indeed you should receive this written agreements, whatever we're waiting on, there may be a need for a special city council meeting coming up.
There could be, but we'll wait until we get the actual agreement before we schedule anything.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Thank you. Takes us to 4H, and that is to consider approval of ordinance number 1865, vacating the alley in block 204 of the original town plat of Durant. Who's going to visit? Who? Oh, Tom, yes. Thank you.
I'll do that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's maybe one typo on the agenda item itself. But it's corrected on the ordinance. This is for the closing of an alleyway, not a vacating of an alleyway, and it doesn't sound that different, but it is. Essentially, the closing of this alleyway would be, as we discussed a couple of meetings ago, south of Main Street, just to the west of 9th Street. There was an alley that ran behind the Boulder Motel, on the south side of the Boulder Motel, essentially into that shopping center. The owner of that property has requested that the alleyway be closed. Check with staff, there's not any public utilities in that alleyway. All of the utilities run either on the north side along Main Street or on the south side of the building near the railroad track. So the request is to close 167 feet of alleyway from 9th Street to the west. Now, that does not change any property owner's interest in the alleyway. It just closes it off for use. If the property owner ever wanted to vacate the alleyway and have it completely erased from the property records, the property owner could take the necessary steps to do that, give notice to surrounding property owners, and go through the district court to do that. This just closes it for use.
So as I think I read in there, Tom, that should the city ever, if there ever is a need, that possibility is there too.
That is correct. The council could take steps to reopen the alleyway if necessary, if it's not vacated first. But if it was ever vacated, then it goes away forever. But at this point, the request was to close it. Property owner may come back later and take the steps to vacate it if necessary. But it's not an alleyway that, my understanding, that contains any public utilities. All the utilities are north or south.
And I can't help, I probably should have asked this when we were considering this very action, but some few years ago, further to the west, I think we either took the same similar action when the Pizza Hut rebuilt or built their new facility. And in saying that, then is there any further need to close that? I'm sure that alley ran from 9th to 10th.
It probably did. There was where it essentially would run across that property is where the parking spaces are across the north side of that building, kind of where the old bowling alley was. Those parking spaces are essentially the alleyway. The property owner just requested the closing of that easternmost 167 feet. The entire alleyway is probably unnecessary now, since there are no utilities in that alleyway, but this was the request.
Questions for the city attorney? Not entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 1865.
Second.
Sections 1 through 3.
Sections 1 through 3.
Second still.
Motion to approve sections 1 through 3?
Yes, sir.
And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries.
Move to approve section 4.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4I, consideration to approve Resolution 2018-25 in support of the completed Durant Arts District South 9th Avenue, S9A, master plan partially funded by the National Endowment for the Arts, Our Town Grant, and local partners. Ms. Becca.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. Last month, the final master plan for the Arts District was presented. With your approval, we are ready to present that to the National Endowment for the Arts. This resolution, with your approval, would be included within the plan, and it basically states, or we're acknowledging the funding and our commitment to make this master plan a reality.
Questions for Becca? Not?
Move to approve resolution 2018-25.
Second.
Motion, and again, 2 seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember
Aye.
Hawthorne. Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4K, consideration to approve Resolution 2018-20...
J.
Jay?
What'd I do? I'm sorry. Sorry. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Consideration to authorize city manager and staff to develop guidelines for creating an Arts and Culture Advisory Committee with approval to identify and appoint community members to serve in this capacity. Ms.
You wanna
Becca and
speak
Ms.
on
City
it,
Manager,
Tom?
Mr. City Manager?
With the growing arts and cultural events and activities that we have here in town, and with Southeastern's Fine Arts Department, our high school, and so many arts organization, the city manager thought that it would be a good idea to appoint an advisory committee. And it'd be an arts and cultural advisory committee to help steer some of these projects. And with our new arts district, I think it'd be a great opportunity to help develop that. So if Tim wants to speak on that.
We're simply kind of following the guidelines of what the folks that did the Our Town arts workshops and so forth. Most cities our size have an arts and cultural advisory committee that report back to the council. They're an advisory committee only. The council would have the final say so with appointments. And what we would be doing is going forward, rather than us putting forth all these efforts, we're simply asking that this body approve us going forward to establish the guidelines and bring it back and start hopefully receiving applicants who want to be part of this.
It's council's pleasure.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, and again, 2 seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 4K, consideration to approve Resolution 2018-26, supporting the submission of a grant application to the United States Economic Development Administration, EDA, requesting $1,500,000 in grant funds for necessary wastewater infrastructure improvements to benefit economic development growth and job creation. Ms. Becca.
We have an opportunity to apply through the U.S. Department of Commerce, as you mentioned, for $1.5 million. That would be help with the sludge press apparatus that we need at the wastewater plant. And Brandon's here if you would like to have him explain to you what that project would involve.
Council members? Brandon, come forward, please.
Remember the last time we got a sludge press information? It's riveting.
Once in a lifetime.
It was riveting, edge of your seat kind of stuff.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you guys have heard from me before, currently we haul our sludge off in liquid form, and what we're wanting to do to increase the capacity of our wastewater plant is actually begin to press the sludge and haul it off in a semi-solid form. So it's really a big, exactly what it sounds like. It's a big press that presses out the water and gets the sludge from about a 1% solid to about a 20% solids. It'll be taken to landfill at that point or land applied.
I think, and help me out here, Brandon, too, I think it's important to keep in mind even, there's a cost to, there's a current cost, and has been for years, in the disposal of the sludge too, right?
That's correct. Currently, you dispose of the sludge through a consultant, through a contractor actually, on a yearly contract, and I think that's 120, 130,000, somewhere in that range. And this would do away with that cost if you land apply it at the airport, which is one of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the overall impact on this is going to increase our capacity, increase the number of years for us as far as having to get to that threshold with DEQ, where we're going to have to expand the actual wastewater plant itself too. This will buy us, how many years do you think?
We feel like somewhere between 5 and 10 years. You know, if you talk to your operators at the plant, they'll tell you that the sludge at the treatment plant is their primary problem that gives them fits. So once we get it in, at a minimum, we think it'll give us 5 years, but maybe as much as 10, just being able to get rid of the solids faster. Currently, you can't get rid of the solids as fast as your plant makes them.
Any other questions for Becca or for Brandon or for the city manager? If not, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Before you make the motion, please, I had put in my memo that the 450 jobs that are listed on the resolution is not, there may be more jobs, and I want to make sure that's accurate. So I'm requesting that your motion be contingent upon me getting the correct numbers of jobs to be created for the resolution.
So you're saying it might be more?
Yes, sir.
It's only better.
Move to approve Resolution 2018-26 contingent upon the updated number as far as job creation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Becca. We'll move to the public hearing portion of our agenda. We have two items under consideration. Item 5A, consider approval of ordinance 1862, rezoning from general agricultural A1 district to single-family residential R1 district for a portion of property located east of Brookhaven Drive, providing for an emergency. Mr. Matt.
Yes, good evening, everybody. So the applicant has property near North 49th Avenue, and the lands that we're discussing tonight, 3.71 acres, which is off of Brookhaven Drive. It would have access off of Brookhaven Drive. This is to facilitate the sale of land for one single-family home. Because it's more than half an acre, a septic system could be installed. Last I heard, city sewer is at capacity in that area. The Rural Water District 2 is within this item. Planning Commission voted for approval of this item with one member absent. I also recommend approval, but we did receive one citizen concern about the floodplain and drainage in that area. And although it's out of the purview of a rezoning request, because development hasn't been proposed yet, that is something that we would, of course, consider through the building permit process within my office. So I'm here for any questions.
Questions for Matt? I might point out we are under the public hearing portion. If there is anyone in the audience that wishes to speak regarding this rezoning request, either in favor of or in opposition to, this will be your opportunity. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak regarding this rezoning request?
Real quick, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind. My name is Anthony Pate, and I'm the property owner, the current property owner. And Matt mentioned one letter of opposition. That lady was actually in attendance at the zoning committee. She and I had an opportunity to talk about it when she came to the understanding that it was for a single-family residence. I don't know that she formally rescinded her opposition letter, but she did say at that point it was of no concern to her.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Anyone else in the audience? Anyone else in the audience? Anyone else in the audience? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of ordinance number 1862. Council members have any further discussion or questions for Matt? If not, are we ready for a motion?
Move to approve ordinance 1862, section 1.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Have a motion for,
Sorry, section 2.
Second.
motion and a second for section 2. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Under item 5B, and this is also under the public hearing portion of our agenda, is to consider approval of PC 2018-18 preliminary plat for property located south of US 70 bypass and west of Cemetery Road. Matt?
Yes, so through this request, the applicant hopes to facilitate a single-family neighborhood currently titled Rodeo Square subdivision. It's the amount of land is sizable. It's 160 acres. Proposed are 241 lots at half an acre each, 6 internal streets, which all would connect to Cemetery Road on the eastern boundary of the land. Underwater, it would be Rural Water District 5, and as far as I can tell, the sewer would be septic, have the potential for septic, being half acre each. The nearest pump station that I saw is reasonable distance away. Proposed are 4 detention ponds, some underground storage. At the Planning Commission meeting last month, there was unanimous recommendation for approval, 4 votes with 1 member absent. I do also recommend approval, but with the general note that that Cemetery Road is in fairly poor condition, and that we need to consider strategy, long-term strategy for transition between development and the public right-of-way. We did receive citizen concern at the meeting last month regarding quality and traffic capacity of Cemetery Road. I am present, and I believe the applicant is as well, for any questions.
Council members have any questions? I think I have one for sure. Is the access to Cemetery Road off of 78?
78 via 3rd, I believe.
Rodeo Road?
3rd, and then
Okay.
Rodeo Cemetery.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll also open up the, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I just did have one, because this is what I always ask every time there's a big development like this. I see how it's laid out as far as the plat with lots on it, but I don't really see anything in the way of drainage, water retention, or anything like that, which I also haven't zoomed in to where I can really see what all the little wording says, but has that been addressed on this plat?
The plat that has been delivered to the office, yes. There was a supplemental drainage study that was given to our office.
That's the only question I had.
And the applicant was planning on bringing that in tonight.
And we actually have the property owner, if he'd like to come forward, Mr. Allen Hobbs.
Yes, sir, and it was a small copy of drainage, but I went by Barker's and got another copy, so I have another copy, a little bit bigger, of the drainage with me, so you can look at.
I trust if you had it done, and you've already sent it to them.
Yeah, we went and printed earlier, but it will be, and there's 4 exits to help with, where it's not all one coming to the deal. There's actually 8 roads, but only 4 exits coming on the cemetery, and then I'm hoping, like he was saying, rural water, but I think will be traditional septic, but it'll be city water. There's water on that cemetery road, and then we'll put in our own septic system, but Barker did the full, it's got the storm drainage and all of that on here for the underwater, and then the retention ponds.
Okay, so the requirements for septic are minimum half-acre lots? Or for aerobic?
Septic aerobic, yes.
Septic or aerobic?
Yeah, they'll all have to have a perk test to qualify if they're septic or aerobic to meet DEQ.
But the lot size will qualify, period?
It's half acre for either septic or aerobic.
Okay.
And these are all from half to 3/4 acre.
And the perk?
How many homes?
It was platted for 241, but when you take the retention ponds out, it's going to be about 230. When you take out,
Is that Durant School District?
I think it's going to be Calera.
Clara?
Durant city limits, but Calera School District.
Any other questions from council members? Hang on, Mr. Hobbs. We'll open it up to the public. Also, anyone in the public have any comments, questions, concerns?
Mr. Mayor, can I speak from here, since I'm old and can walk up there? I didn't hear your question that you asked about where where it's gonna come from the cemetery road. Is it the cemetery road that went by the country club, or is it the end of Southeast First, or where will there be a road?
It'll be the south side of the bypass.
Okay, so that's where it won't be around our cemetery.
No, it's the other side of the bypass, the south side.
Okay, that's all I ask.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience have any questions or concerns?
Yes, my name is
And-
Steve.
And please, your name and address.
Stephen Garner, 3614 Cemetery Road. I live on Cemetery Road, and I really don't know at what point this question is to be brought up, so I'm just going to ask it. But is it too early to comment on any kind of plans to deal with the traffic, partly as far as just Cemetery Road and improvements that it may need? And then maybe even beyond that, whether or not that will even accommodate that much traffic on it. I'm not coming up in opposition to any of this. I just didn't know whether this is something you consider later on, or whether it's something I could ask about tonight. I just don't know. So I thought I would.
I think Mr. Matt maybe addressed that early in your presentation. We recognize, or if you would, maybe
Yes.
elaborate.
So if I could, the decision tonight and the discussion for the decision really takes place within these red lines up on the screen here, the parameters and only the parameters of the property boundaries. Beyond the property boundary, an inch, a foot, so the actual pavement of Cemetery Road cannot be part of the stipulation for the developer. Developer has fulfilled all requirements in our city code. So that's why I made the general note that I do think we need to revisit how we work with an understanding between city and developer, potential amendment of ordinances. That's a future need for Durant, but hopefully near future.
Basically, that would be for another time, is that right? Later on, possibly?
There'll be
that might
discussion, I'm
addressed.
sure, yes,
Okay,
sir.
and just for the record, like I said, I'm not speaking in opposition to any of this. I just was,
Thank you.
no, so I thought I
Appreciate
would
it,
ask
yeah.
about it.
Thank you, Mr. Garner. Anyone else in the audience?
Very quickly.
Yes, sir.
Charlie Bachman. This is another instance where we do not have impact fees. We've discussed looking into the city developing codes and everything so they can have impact fees on new development. This is another case where it just shows that that's something that the city needs to move forward on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bogman. Anyone else in the audience? Anyone else in the audience? Anyone else in the audience? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion. Council members have any more questions for Mr. Matt? If not, are we out of time for a motion?
Move to approve PC 2018-18.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, the clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby. Aye. Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Matt. Thank
you. I think I'm staying up for later, for the next.
How did I recognize that? Oh, the information, okay. Okay, this takes us to item number 6 on our agenda item under information items. First, let me recognize that the department heads are all here. Appreciate everyone again and all the reports that you provide on a monthly basis, not only to the city manager and administration, but for council's review, and we thank you for that, for the time and effort you put in that, okay? Does council, first of all, have any departments they'd like a report on or to hear from on?
Mr. Mayor, I was asked to inquire, and I would think this would be solid waste. I don't see how, but I was told that citizens that are disabled or have a disability can have the trash people come up to their house and get their cart and take it and empty it and take the cart back. Is that something that Marty could answer for?
That's something that Marty can answer, and I believe that is our policy.
So that has been something we have offered in the past. It's never been highly publicized. There's not really a formal engagement process to begin that. Generally, you contact the utility department or Albert himself, and by the way, I apologize, he had some family business to take care of tonight. And so, out of the kindness of his heart, he goes out of his way to make sure that you're taken care of. I can imagine if we had hundreds of people doing that could cause a problem, but it's never been abused in a way that it's caused an issue for us. And so absolutely, we try everything we can to make it safer and easier on the people.
Marty, who would they need to get hold of?
I may have to work on that and get back with you because, again, they don't contact me. Do you know? There you go. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Hey, James.
I just kind of know a little bit about that.
Because you live with Albert.
Yeah, I'm right next door to his office. There is a form he hands out. You contact Albert. There will be a form. Take to your doctor, and they fill it out, and it states that your disability and you are disabled, and then he puts you on a rollout list, is what it's called.
Yeah.
And then they'll actually come up and roll it out to the street and take care of it.
Okay, James, would they have to come down and get the form, or could they have it mailed or
I'm sure
emailed?
Albert would probably drop it off if they asked him to.
Okay,
more than
thank you
likely.
so much.
You're welcome.
Any other departments? Questions? If not, I'll take this opportunity to sound like maybe a teacher here, but department heads are dismissed if they'd like. No pop quizzes or tests at the end of the meeting or anything like that. So please, if you need to go have supper or something, feel free to do that. Thank you all again. I think we do have 6B coming up, Matt, Community Development Report, and I think this is, well, as you read that, we all are aware of new state laws voted on by the citizens of the state, et cetera, and these are requiring some municipal, not only state, but municipal and county actions at the same time. So I think Matt can kind of enlighten us on that some, Matt.
Sure, as much as I can. And I'm hoping to just kind of open the forum for this information and then whatever discussion and direction that you all want to give. So no controversial topics at all, just booze and marijuana.
And may I officially recognize that 6B under Community Development Monthly Report, presentations on alcohol at special events and on medical marijuana.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. All jokes aside, I was going to let you know that first information item that I researched per the direction of city manager and a few council members, I believe, is special events and outdoor alcohol consumption, and looking at what Durant has, comparing that to a few comparable communities. And so at first you'll see on the screen what Durant has currently in its ordinances, all mentions of alcohol, that we do have few definitions. Many other communities have much more defined regulation on alcohol, so definition section's a little light. Durant only defines non-intoxicating beverages, which on the research that I saw, non-intoxicating, in quote marks, means the percent alcohol by volume is 3.2 or less, and anything over 3.2% alcohol would be considered intoxicating. But Durant only defines non-intoxicating. Before October 1st, it does seem appropriate to change that. That the only mention of public drinking and open container is with non-intoxicating beverages. So again, it seems we're half covered at this point. And within an establishment is also language within the within a business or establishment, non-intoxicating beverages not allowing by right through special event permits. None of that's mentioned in our code currently, but we do have a special event permit that it must detail more than our regulations do. So that really covers what I saw in our code. ADA, going next to ADA, if that's next, yeah. They do have a strict code on beverage gardens, the idea of permanent designated spaces for outdoor alcohol consumption. And again, we don't have any mention of that. And I should note that if I do end up drafting ordinances, I'll want any and all of your opinions, as well as consulting city attorney, city manager, city clerk's office, because right now special event permits we send down there, and police, of course, for the life, health, safety enforcement. So ADA does detail a beverage garden in case we want to look at that as a template. Next, Ardmore mentions a temporary license related to alcohol consumption. Again, something we don't have, but we could use as a template. And last, I looked at Midwest City, and they have a substantial definition section that looked really strong to me. So those are my main bullet points from the research so far on alcohol consumption and special events. And I'll
Questions for
move
Matt?
on. Unless
sorry.
there are any questions, I'll move on to.
Any questions? Okay, Matt, move on.
No.
Oh,
Go
that
ahead.
one?
The one I was going to ask is that the question I get asked all the time is, and I don't want to throw anybody's business out there, but I'm going to. Opera House, because they are in front of a sidewalk, and they just, if they could serve on that sidewalk. Or Roma's, they've talked about putting tables out in front. That was my big question. That's one of the questions I asked for Tim, and I said, can they do that or not do that? Or because there's no defined beverage garden. There's not. Go ahead. Sorry, what were we going to... Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
If you want to, okay. So the way that I see it currently is that no alcohol can be served on any public crosswalk, or sidewalk, sidewalk or right of way. So we would need them to specify the legal boundary of their property, and it would need to be contained, because right now our code says within the legal establishment. So that needs to be proven to us before any outdoor alcohol consumption can take place on a permanent basis or a special basis.
But that is, that question reminds me of, outside dining at restaurants and a lot of communities like, comes to mind Durango, because I've been there. I got grandkids there, but that is something that we'd need to look at in this process. Is that what we're saying?
So I'm going to just throw out stuff because people know, like a Roadhouse, I think would be okay, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on their property, underneath their awning, in a defined area.
Salitas
would be okay.
Yes.
But the front sidewalk might not be.
Front sidewalk would not be.
Because of the right-of-way and being able to block part of it for pedestrian traffic, and because you'd have to, I believe, you have to gate it or fence it off separate.
So then what's the difference, and he may have covered this, and I was reading as he was covering, what's the difference between Southeastern does tailgate, and they close down the streets? people walk back and forth with an alcoholic beverage all the time. What's the difference between doing that and it doesn't matter to me either way. I just get a lot. I'm the guy that gets a lot of questions on that. So.
Well,
I just don't know what the difference is. I don't know what to tell people because they're like, well, they're walking around right there. Why can't I serve it in front of my business? So that's the questions I get.
I know with Southeastern, that was granted prior to my arrival here. Is Marty back there? Did he leave?
I know we changed something.
We
to make
changed
it
something
okay.
right before I came because that was new when I got here. We put him on the spot.
I don't remember what it was.
That's 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Or not-
And I'm not real
maybe
sure
not.
either, to be honest. I did not bring that one across. I know that there's some, property line is the most importance in our code currently. Everything in front of the wall at Opera House or Roma's belongs to the city. It's part of the sidewalk city property. Southeastern actually owns part of University Street in between 3rd and 1st. And I couldn't tell you the exact dimensions, but it's, believe it or not even a city street by old property boundaries. And I think that's how they got away with that, if I remember right.
I just know we changed some ordinance. Actually, we took a couple of words out of an ordinance.
Yeah.
And I remember
Part of that was
doing
about
it.
drinking in public, and that was in public
It was
view.
drinking in public. is
But
what
it wasn't on public property, because there is a difference.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm not a police officer, so I'm not going to promise who's getting arrested, but.
It's not like we want. It's not like we want people walking down the street drinking all day either.
No.
But
so
I think
we
in
wanna
the
make sure you
interest
do it
of
the right way.
what Matt is looking at, what Marty's saying, what you're saying, and what the state and the voters have considered recently, that it's time for a modernized update of this ordinance.
Here's the other thing, if you literally tore down Roma's building and put just a roof and a restaurant outdoors with no walls, and you're entirely on Roma's property, I believe you can drink. You're not on public property,
Yeah.
right? No different than having a porch or something on, like Salitas does.
Yeah.
But when you step on city property, that's where our ordinance does not allow it.
I think what people are seeing, and they probably are going somewhere. I use the Riverwalk in San Antonio. I mean, if you think about it, that's public thorough. I mean, people are walking through, but that may be restaurant property. They're drinking outside. They're riding against that. That may be restaurant property, but when you're going as a visitor, you don't know.
Could also be a special ordinance where they've created a beer garden out of city property.
Gotcha.
That's not disallowed necessarily. We just have to look further into that.
It's conceivable you could even create a zone in which that
Yeah.
could happen. You could create a zone from 1st Street to 4th Street, from, wherever boundaries, where even on public property in certain hours or within, it could be done. I mean, you could do it several different ways, but
One thing you got to remember, that every one of those public properties that are sidewalks in front of buildings, we also have to maintain ADA accessibility. And almost every one you brought up was done with the ODOT grant streetscape
Gotcha.
for the primary reasons of ADA accessibility. So we could not allow that to violate just so they could create a beer garden and sell wine for 2 chairs outside.
Yeah, and while I was
Right,
talking about it,
so-
I was thinking, there's tables out there. Somebody's going to trip and fall on a table. Who's going to be?
Yeah.
I thought of, while I was talking, I was like, oh man.
It's the permanent objects we have a real problem with.
Yeah.
And when they put a fence post in the ground or block that ADA accessibility, that's where it becomes an issue.
Okay.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Matt. Are we ready to move on to the second part of your?
Sure, as long as you all are.
I think we are.
Okay, then I'll pursue that item as well as this next one, unless specific directions given tonight. I'll pursue it with city manager, city attorney, and the appropriate entities. All right, then, without further ado, Mary Jane. So, again, this is preliminary research, and I'm just trying to facilitate healthy regulation and policy making through this. So, and I do not understand all of the details. So, medical marijuana use and possession was just approved, as I'm sure everybody knows, in June. That applications for state licenses for businesses to dispense, grow, sell, and conduct business with medical marijuana Applications began in late August. As far as I saw, they could be filed at the end of August, so very recently. Not sure if you want to get into there's the summary of what's being allowed, but I at least want to touch on how it could affect our city regulations and life, health, safety of Durant. Durant currently just mentions marijuana in terms of those basic needs of life, safety, health, and fire issues. That no driving under the influence. Marijuana is prohibited. So it's only mentioned in 2 different chapters in our code. And it does have the language that allows whatever the state implements to fall within Durant's regulation. So we don't seem to be what's the word? We don't seem to be counter medical marijuana, but we don't seem to be pro, obviously, either. So Durant is just where it seems like we'll be okay if we do nothing, but it might be advantageous to require a permit, like Ardmore does. And the communities that I looked at for the outdoor alcohol consumption and special events, that kind of thing, of Ada, Ardmore, Midwest City. Ada has yet to update. Midwest City has yet to update since that vote was passed in June. But Ardmore has a very strict new ordinance providing for a new permit a way for the city to allow, basically based on a conditional use that wouldn't pass from one owner to the next. And Ardmore adopted everything that the state adopted. It's very lengthy, and if we could jump to that, I think that's the last attachment. Yeah, is it just after that or no? Sorry, I guess it was an additional PDF. But to go over that, to me it seemed like a basic conditional use permit for businesses. It was a chapter they added to their code. It's to provide reasonable and orderly regulation, to limit the impacts that medical marijuana cultivation and production will have on health, safety, and community resources in Ardmore. And this was just adopted last month, by the way. That nothing that Ardmore adopted is intended to promote or condone the production, distribution, or possession of marijuana. That this new chapter for Ardmore is to be construed to protect the public over medical marijuana business interests. So the public needs to be the ultimate recipient of the regulations services. So that's what Ardmore was striving to do through this, and it's extremely detailed. Let me see. Two of the most important sections that I saw was that the new permit in Ardmore is non-transferable. So they do need to come into their community development department in Ardmore, can't pass to another business owner or property owner. And another really important section is the location of medical marijuana businesses. In Ardmore, they require a fixed location, as well as permitted use in specified zoning districts. And we can go to those specific sections if you like, but I can just cover them right here. Permitted uses, medical marijuana business permits are permitted by right in retail sales land uses, in agricultural land uses, and in manufacturing and production. So in our zoning code, we have that table of permitted uses by zoning district, and Ardmore allows this medical marijuana business in three of their land uses by right. And again, if I were to amend or edit, draft up amendments to our code, I would want to seek the counsel of the council as well as the city administration and health department. I think Bryan County Health Department would be a good place to contact, and I'm here for any questions, but that's the preliminary research that I have.
Any questions for Matt?
I'll be short. I brought this up before the meeting. Is reading over what they have from Ardmore. It seems like it's kind of excessive. The only thing I would suggest is looking at what the state actually requires, and us avoid getting into the business of the city regulating these types of businesses. Not any more than we would any other type of business. I don't know. Do we require a special conditional use permit for a liquor store or a pharmacy or anything like that? And it's my 2 cents.
Coming to mind, just popped up in my head is that churches are allowed upon review in any zoning district. So theoretically, it could be similar, and the only restrictions on location that the state gives that I saw, and again, if I were to draft or amend anything, draft anything up, I would comb through it more with a fine-tooth comb, but I saw just the distance from a private or public school is really the only limitation that the state gives. That we can't that a local government can't restrict the business from coming in, but we can require review and a permit process. So fees that would cover the costs of inspections and our office reviewing zoning and distance from a school, that kind of thing.
My recommendation is that at the next council meeting, we'll have drafted, if there's any other things that come up between now and then, please let us know as far as the ordinance goes, and we'd be glad to do that, and of course, run it by our legal counsel.
Is OML available for, I'm sure they're working
yes.
hard and fast on this, too.
Oh, yeah, it's something that they've got, I think, one of their legal counsel on staff that can help us with that as well. As Matt stated, there's really not a whole lot we can do to block a dispensary or those type of things, but there's certainly things we can do to make sure that it's permitted and the things are in order before it opens its doors.
Well, and
What's the distance from the schools?
Yeah, if you'll bear with me. Numbers seem to be 1,000. Thank you, 1,000 feet. I just found that. Yeah.
Only for her dispensary, yeah, specifically.
Okay.
is that, okay, so 1,000 foot's like about 3 blocks, something like that, I think, probably close to it. Well, as city manager said, as Matt's saying, and as I think we all recognize, we need to have things in order by ordinance and by permitting, et cetera, and know what we can do. And I think my question, and Tom, and along with what Councilmember Hawthorne's question, we actually can't have an ordinance or put anything in place that is more strict than a state statute or state law. Is that not correct? And something like this?
I don't know that that's not true 100% of the time. We could put in restrictions beyond those that the state would allow. The state typically doesn't get real detailed on some of that, and they leave it up to the cities to determine on an individual basis where they will allow things. But we couldn't pass anything that contradicts what the state would allow, but there are times when the city can be more or less restrictive than what the state would permit. So as long as we don't run afoul of what the state explicitly says can or can't happen, there are times when, there's various cities that say you can be certain distances from schools. That's not all uniform unless the state mandates something.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Any questions or further comments for Matt, or?
One more piece of information, just if I could, in my opinion, it doesn't seem like Durant, within its code of ordinances, doesn't seem like we need to play catch-up on either of these two information items, that we're not in the wrong. So passing the ordinances regarding new alcohol laws, what's going to be effective October 1st, that seemed to have a time crunch on it, but these two items do not. So we could draft something up. If it's not perfect, I can draft it again.
Well, now that he's mentioned that, do we need to have something in place before October 1 for anything? No? Okay. Anything else? Matt, do you have additional? Where's that? Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Song and dance? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Takes us to item number 7 on our agenda, and that is the citizen comments on non-agenda items. Citizens wishing to address the council regarding matters which are not listed on the agenda are required to sign up no later than 5 minutes prior to the scheduled starting time. The sign-in sheet contains space for the citizen's name, address, phone number, and topic to be discussed. We actually have 2 that have signed up to speak. I might ask, they want to speak on the same subject. Could we just have both of you speak at the same time? Is that acceptable? Okay. We have Dustin Belvin of Durant and Aaron Halton of Durant, and their subject to speak on to this council and those that are in the audience is medical marijuana.
Hello.
Thank you, Council.
Yep, thanks for having us, you guys. I really appreciate it. We have a couple different things that we want to talk about. I want to address specifically that ordinance that's up there.
And forgive me, guys, let me remind you that we're on a time frame here. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I just got a couple things here. The stuff that we have right now in regards to medical marijuana, as far as the ordinance or code or whatever we call it, it looks like it's called, I don't know, section or whatever that little squiggly thing is, 133.02. The way that this reads as of right now, anybody that walks out of my dispensary is going to be breaking this ordinance. And that's just a little concern for the patients that we'll be serving.
Tom, would that be state statute, I think is what he's referring to?
That's our local municipal code. Yeah, this is local municipal code. It says, and again, quickly, to be or appear upon or in any street, alley, place of business, or other place while under the influence of marijuana, opium, or other narcotic. So there's that one, and then the other one is to possess in any street. It basically says the same thing, it just says to possess and not to be under the influence. But then right after that, it says to use marijuana in any place within the city except as legally prescribed by a physician licensed to practice. So personally, I think that if we were to just add that little bit of information, as recommended by a licensed physician, to the other section, I think that would kind of clear up that specific piece of it. That's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I wanted to talk about was in regards to like the Ardmore laws and the ordinances they've passed. A lot of those ordinances are in regards to home grow. So for patients that are going to be lawfully growing in their own home or right outside of their own home. The problem that I have with like Ardmore's and a couple of the other cities that have passed these ordinances is that they're requiring a licensing fee for a patient, a lot of which are very low income, to grow their own medicine, which is kind of defeating the purpose of them growing if they're having to pay to do so. So that's one thing that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention when, and I forgot the gentleman's name that was up here a minute ago. Sounds like he's going to be involved in the drafting. I wanted to make sure that that's taken into consideration. It has nothing to do with my business, it's just mainly because of patients. So that's the main things that I wanted to talk about here. And I also wanted to ask what kind of questions you guys have in regards to medical marijuana. Are you worried about anything specific? Is there anything that I can address for you? I own the Remedy here in Durant. I'm sure if you watched K10 or K12, you've seen my ugly mug on there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I would love to address those. Maybe ease any fears or clear up any, miscommunications that there may be.
Any questions from council members? Comments? I think, gentlemen, I would suggest that you meet Mr. Matthew Norstedt, who will be putting together this ordinance, address those concerns, or have that discussion dialogue with him over the next weeks or months, whatever it is. But and then he'll bring that back before council for consideration. Hopefully, it's something you're comfortable with at the end of the day.
Sounds good.
More
the merrier, trying to get everybody involved and stay up on the
right
side. And my name's Aaron Holton. I'm CEO of Trinity Canna Farm. We are looking at a grow here. What I was doing tonight was I passed out my business propositions to you guys and just let you know where we're coming from, exactly what we're going to be doing. Our main goal is to follow the state laws and city ordinances. There's not many ordinances in there for a grow at this moment. We have leased our building. We have 14 days until we get approval for the grow. We just want to be transparent with the council and the city's people and always leave questions. You can ask us. Any problems, concerns, I just want to be able for you guys to kind of read what we're going to be doing. You'll have a very good idea of what's going to be going on, and it'll also help, if we end up talking with, is Matt about any ordinance or stuff that, we've kind of got the knowledge and expertise and, been in the business for a while in other states. So just trying to let you know and just stay transparent. And if there's any questions, my name's Aaron, my wife Tiffany, and that's it. We just want to let you know what's going on, and don't want to just be jumping in here with people wondering what's going on down the street. So I thank you, sirs.
Thank you. Thank you for the communication.
Thank you.
I think that's critical.
And my phone number is on that sheet. I don't think I have my contact info in here, and I'm very sorry about that. I forgot that part.
Okay.
But it's on that paper.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes the citizen comments portion. If there are no objections from council members, would you like to move on to the Utilities Authority? Okay. Entertain a motion to recess out of regular session.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne.
Aye.
Councilmember Groby.
Aye.
Councilmember Dills.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock.
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We are recessed out of regular session. We'll let the record show it is 7:39. I'll call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant City Utilities Authority of September the 11th, 2018, and ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Here.
Trustee Groby.
Here.
Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here. For the record, all members are present. We have a quorum, full quorum. First order of business, the consent docket. We have items 1A and B. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, the secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Item 2 requires no action under administration. 3A, consider award of bids for the filter under drain repair at the water treatment plant. Item 3.1, excuse me, Haynes Equipment Company in the amount of $60,000 for West Tech laser flow under drain system. Marty.
Thank you, guys. So at the water treatment plant, we had one of our sand drain filters actually blew out, what they called it. I had a deformation in the laser cut plate underneath. So we had to remove all of the filter media that was in that. It's one of 4 that's located inside the building that produces water for your city of Durant. We had to remove all the filter media. We've discovered the issue that we have in place, went out for bid on all the different pieces and parts. The first one for Haynes Equipment, the $60,000, is actually for the laser flow under drain system. The second piece there that you see for $20,000 is for filter media, which is sand and anthracite that go in there to filter the water. And the third one for KB Construction for $46,000 is the cost of labor for installation of all the above product. I would be happy to discuss any of this with you that I could. What kind of questions you might have, and Philip is available as my expert if we need him. I think I've set this up that if you would accept what we've got presented here, one vote should be able to do it. Award of all the bids that are
Tom,
listed.
are we in a position, we have item 3A123. They're all related to the same.
Yeah, same project. Takes 3 expenditures of money to get this project.
City Attorney, are you okay with? Okay. Trustees, any questions for Marty? Appears we need to do this.
Yeah, we really kind of do. The product is 26 to 32 weeks out. 21 to 30, sorry, my numbers were a little off.
Wow.
So we got to order today to do this in the spring, to be honest. So, yeah, it's kind of important that we move forward if you guys are happy with it.
Move to approve A 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye. Motion carries. We have no reports under item number 4. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. The secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned out of the Utilities Authority. We'll let the record show it's 7:44. Call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Durant Airport Authority of September the 11th, 2018. And ask the secretary to call the roll, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Here.
Trustee Groby.
Aye. Here.
Trustee Dills.
Here.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Here.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Here. For the record, all members are present. We have a full quorum. First order of business, consent items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, motion carries. Under item number 3, there are no comments to consider. We have nothing under the administration considerations, no information items. Anything under new business? Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second. The secretary will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye, we are adjourned out of the Airport Authority. Entertain a motion to reconvene in regular city council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to reconvene in regular city council session. The clerk will record the vote, please.
Trustee Hawthorne.
Aye.
Trustee Groby.
Aye.
Trustee Dills.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Hitchcock.
Aye.
Chairman Tomlinson.
Aye. We are back into, motion carries, we're back into regular session, which takes us to item number 8 on our agenda under executive session. We have items 8A, 8C, 8E, and 8G to consider executive session items. Do we have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. The clerk will record the vote, please.
Councilmember Hawthorne,
Aye.
Councilmember Groby,
Aye.
Councilmember Dills,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Hitchcock,
Aye.
Mayor Tomlinson.
Aye. We are going into executive session. We'll return in a bit.
Ooh.